So hello to everyone. So I hope you enjoyed the Independence Day celebrations. So in my previous lecture, I talked about the cell growth, the different phases of the cell growth, and at that particular time, I stopped this prolonged decline in cell number. So now I will be talking a little bit further on this particular topic. So look at this particular topic here. So here we have a new term which is called the generation doubling time. So it is the time the population doubles in number during a specific length of time. So as you might be aware that all of the microorganisms, they have a specific time in which they double. So some may take a couple of minutes, like say 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Some may take hours, 2, 3 or 4 hours. So by doubling means that if you are taking, let's say, one cell, then that cell will be doubled in that particular time. So look at this particular table here. So in this particular table, what we are showing is that this is the time, division number, this is the total number of cells, this is the population, sorry, this is the doubling time, I mean how many doubles are we taking, this is the population, and this is the log of this particular doubling generations. So let's say at time 0, we don't have any division. So 2 raised to power 0 equals to 1. So initially we just have one cell. So final population at this particular, after one time is 1. If we take log 10 of this one is 0. Now this after 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, one division has taken place. And this one division leads to doubling. So what we do is 2 raised to power 1. So this will equal to 2. So total population now will be 2 after 20 minutes. And if we take log 10 of this particular number, then we get 0.301. So similarly, if we go on increasing the time, let's say from 0 to 80, so we can see that how many divisions have taken place. So how many complete cell cycle has taken place. So from 0 it has come to 4 cycles. So if you want to know the exact population after 4 divisions, what we do is we go to 2 raised to power 4. So that means 16. And the final population after 4 division cycles will be 16. And if we take log 10 of this particular value, what we get is 1.204. So this is a typical example of E. coli, that E. coli takes 20 minutes to double. So on the basis of these kind of parameters, we can generation the table for every organisms. So let's have a look at this particular graph, which is the exponential microbial growth. So this is exactly what it was shown in the table. So here you can see 1, after 20 minutes 2, 4, 8 and 16. So this is a curve sort of thing. So this is the number of cells and this is the time of incubation. So here we have log 10 value. So from the previous one, so look at this 1.204, that is after 80 minutes. So all the points, they have been plotted here, and you can see that this comes to be a straight line. So when we see that there is a straight line in terms of logarithmic value, so it means that there is exponential growth going on. So if this particular curve is linear, it is sure that there is the exponential phase of that particular bacteria is going on. So after that, it may be possible that we may have the stationary phase, or if this is not exactly straight line, it may be possible that we may have the length phase. So in order to determine, because from this particular curve, it is not possible to determine, it is increasing, but not exactly. So if we get the straight line, then we can exactly say that this is the exponential phase or the rapid growth phase of that particular microorganism. Okay, so if we convert these observations into a calculation form, what we do is, so let's say N0 is the initial population number. So NT is the population at time t. So let's say 80 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever the time could be. So this is the population after time t. So N is the number of generation in time t. So number of generations, how many generations has been increased? 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. So those generations. So if we want to know the exact population this at any time, so what we do is initial population into number of generations. So this is what we get, the population at any time point. So we need to know what was the initial population. Initially, how many cells were taken, 10, 20, 30, 40, and how many generations have we given. So 2 is for the doubling time, N is for the generation. So now, if we convert this particular calculation into log, so what we do is log NT equals to log N0. Now this 2 raised to N will convert to N dot log 2. Now, if we solve for this N, so what will we be doing? We'll subtract this from this. So log NT minus log N0 upon log 2. And solving this, we already know that log 2 is equals to 0.30. So ultimately, if we want to know the number of generation at any time, we need to have log NT log N0. Means that we need to have the initial population log and the population log at that particular time. So if we subtract the log of that particular population from this value, the log of the initial, and divide by 0.30, we exactly get how many generations have been there in that particular time point. So now the rate of growth during the exponential phase in a batch culture can be explained in terms of mean growth rate constant. So mean growth constant, this is the another variable here. So this is the number of generations per unit time. So usually what we get is that there's one generation which will be doubling in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Now if we want to compare 2 or 3 bacteria cultures, then the ideal condition will be, the ideal thing will be to bring them to one single unit. So here what we do is we go for the number of generations per unit time, and this is often expressed in terms of hour. So how many generations are being doubled or how many generations are being done in 1 hour. So let's say if we have a bacterium which is kind of growing in every 20 minutes, so in 1 hour we expect 2.5, in 1 hour we expect 3 generations, 60 minutes. So if there is a bacterium which is growing in 2 hours, so in 1 hour what we expect is that half of the generation, 0.5, that will be there. So what we get is K is equals to N by T. So number of generation per unit time. So we can replace this N from the previous calculation here, it is as it is, and just multiply by T. So what we get is the value of K, that is the mean growth rate constant. So now there's a mean doubling time also, mean generation doubling time. So initially what we are getting is doubling time. Now we can have the mean doubling time also. So that mean doubling time, what will be? NT equals to 2N. 2N means that initial number is doubling. So that initial number is doubling, that is equals to population at that particular time point. So this is what we get if we substitute 2N0 into the mean growth rate equation. So here in this particular equation, we just replace this NT by 2N0. So this is what get log 2N minus log 0, 0.02, which is equivalent to this particular value. So log 2 plus log N0 minus log N0 divided by 0.301 Z. And this mean growth rate constant is a reciprocal of the mean generation time. Is K equals to 1 by Z. So this mean generation time reciprocal, now we can replace K by G also. So G equals to 1 by K. So now let's have an example. So this bacterial population that increased from 10 raised to 3 cells to 10 raised to 9 cells in 10 hours. So there's an increase in 10 to the power 6. So what we take is, so this is the final population, this is the initial population. So log 10 is over minus log 10 is to 9 minus log 10 is to 3. And in the denominator we have 0.03 and the time is 10 hours. So this log 10 is to 9 is 9. Log 10 is to 3 is 3. So 9 minus 3. And this 10 we multiply, so what we get is 3.01. So ultimately this is equal to 6 and this is 3. So 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2 generations. So what we get is that the average is 2 generations per hour. So in 1 hour, they will be getting 2 generations. So it means that the bacterial doubling time is 30 minutes. So this is what G is reciprocal of 1 by 2. 1 by 2 or equivalent to 0.5 hours or 30 minutes. So we get generation as well as the doubling time here. So generation time vary depending upon the species of microorganism and the environmental conditions. Now there are a couple of bacterium which could divide into 2 in 20 minutes and some into more time, 30 minutes or hour. And also that division will depend upon what is the environmental condition. So if the conditions are really favorable, then we'll get the ideal division time, the generation times, and the doubling times. And if the conditions are difficult, let's say there is a deficient of nutrition, then we will be getting increase in that particular generation time. Why? The reason is that in those extreme conditions, in those poor nutrition conditions, bacteria need to develop mechanisms to use those microorganisms or micronutrients. They need to express some special kind of genes so that they can utilize those available nutrients. Okay, so that particular generation time can be calculated from the growth curve also. So if we get a microbial growth curve, so what we have is that we can have time versus the number of cells. Look at this number of cells is 0.5, 1, 2, and 3. So that is into 10 to the 7. This is what we have the time. So initially we have a lag phase, then we have the exponential phase or the rapid growth phase. So we can see that from 0.5 to 1, the number is doubling. From 1 to 2, the number is doubling. So directly we can draw a line to the point and just drop that particular line. And this is what the generation is doubling. So the gap, the difference between these 2 points is the generation time. So if we have these kind of plots, we can directly get the generation time. So now we have 2 methods of calculation of generation time. Either we are given the initial and the final population, then we can calculate, or we are just having the graph. So from both the values, we can calculate the generation time. So okay, so now this comes the measurement of microbial growth. So usually microbes, as I told you, they are kind of grown, or their growth is joined in bulk. They're in huge numbers. So similarly, their microbial growth, either it will be in terms of number or mass. So depending what will be, or at some time it may be both. Why? Because both increase in number and the increase in overall rate leads to the increase in the growth of the bacteria. So until unless the bacteria are multiplying, until unless they are growing, there will be no increase in the population number or mass. So in order to determine, we can calculate any of these parameters. So the first one will be measurement of cell numbers. So for measurement of cell numbers, one can use counting chambers. So counting chambers is an easy, inexpensive, and relatively quick strategy. So if you guys remember, in the previous semester, you have done blood counting. So in those experiments, you are using chemocytometer and the Neubauer's chamber. So in that Neubauer's chamber, you are counting the cells. So in that chemocytometer, we have a similar kind of counting chamber here, which is called Petrov-Hauser. So this Petrov-Hauser, it is usually used for counting the prokaryotes. This chemocytometer, which we used last semester, it can also be used for counting prokaryotes as well as eukaryotes. So these are kind of specially designed slides which have a lot of chambers, which has 2 or 1 chambers, and they have grids. These grid lines, they are etched onto that particular bottom of the chamber. So whenever one wants to perform the counting, there's one typical need is that these microorganisms, they need to be stained. And now that stain has to be such that the bacterial morphology or the bacterial overall identity remains the same. So it depends what kind of bacterium one is using. So let's have a look at the Petrov-Hauser counting chamber. So this is a typical representation. So this is the glass slide, and this is what the chamber looks like. So this is kind of etched onto the surface. One puts a cover slip and then loads the sample. So in this particular surface, we have the bacteria which are being formed. So this is how it looks like when you observe it from the top. So these are the lines which are etched, and this is the cover slip. So if you go into a little bit detail, what you see is that there are big squares. In this big square, in each you have 25. So 5 into 5. So there are 25 squares covering an area of 1 millimeter square. So this is 1 and 1 millimeter square. So, and the depth, this particular depth from the cover slip to this particular etching, this depth is 0.02 mm. So now, if we want to get bacteria per millimeter cube, what we do is we take the number of bacteria per square. So that per square will be counting under the microscope. So we can get a number, and then 25 is because we are counting in the 25 squares, and then we'll multiply by 50. 50 is of value comes from this 0.02. We just remove this 100 and divide by 2. So this is 50. So let's say we are counting a bacterial population. So here what we get is we get 25 bacteria per square. So let's say in 1 square we have 25. So now we can multiply that with 28 with 25, and then with 50, and that will into 10 to the power 3. So what we get is this whole 28 into 25 into 50 is 35,000, or simply 3.5 into 10 to the power 4. And this is 3 already, so we'll pick up 3.5 into 10 to the power 7. So that is the count of bacteria in that particular suspension. Okay, so measurement of cell numbers, we can have another automated things also. So one is the Coulter counter. So this is usually used for large microorganisms such as protist and yeast. So this is an automatic system where you take the suspension of the microorganism in the cuvette sort of thing. So that cuvette is a specialized meant for those particular equipments. Just take those microorganisms in that cuvette and put it into the instrument, and you get the count. Another is the flow cytometer. So flow cytometer is also used when, in this what you do is that you are running a population of microorganisms through a liquid channel. So that liquid channel is exposed via to some kind of lasers, and those lasers, when they are attacking that particular sheath or the liquid flow, so that laser will be deflected, diffraction will be there. So depending on how many cell counts is there, that light will be diffracted, and that diffraction could be detected using a detector. So this is how you get in a flow cytometer. So the more the cells, the more diffraction, the more count.